What's going on, guys? I'm TieFly85.
And I'm T-Rec87. And this week we wanted to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in gaming. Let's get started. So, to kick off the gaming news this week, I wanted to go over with just a couple numbers with you guys, and just basically, as we reflect on last year's gaming and we look at the sales numbers and see what games truly did great, what games didn't do so great, we wanted to talk to you today about the top 5 selling video games, basically, worldwide, and these are platform specific, just so you know. This isn't a cumulative list. It is, it can be a PS4 version of something or the Xbox One version of something, depending on if one sold particularly well. So I just wanted to make that distinction when we get into it, just so there's no confusion, because there's a lot of different information out there depending on what type of thing you're looking at. But the very first game on our list, and this might actually surprise a lot of people, is going to be FIFA 18. The FIFA series has been around for a very long time. For those of you who don't know, it's a soccer game, and it's really actually a very good game. I haven't played like the newest iterations of FIFA, but it sold over 7 million copies this year, and as far as this is the PS4 version of FIFA, and seeing as how the PS4 is the dominant console, I would expect the sales numbers usually to be for the PS4. But that was actually, for me, it was a really big surprise. I didn't realize that FIFA was such, I mean, I get in the rest of the world, soccer or football, however you want to call it, is a much bigger deal than it is in the US. People in the US only care about soccer when it seems like when Team USA is doing marginally well. And outside of that, nobody really cares for the most part, it seems like. So I was really shocked about that. What do you think, TieFly?
I would say we're on the complete opposite spectrum here on this particular one. I wouldn't say that I was necessarily surprised that it's number one, because if any time that there's any kind of big competition when it comes to FIFA, like all eyes are on the TV watching it. It's kind of similar to the Olympics, So I really wasn't that surprised. Like I actually did play a few of the older FIFA games. I haven't played this newest one, but if it's anything like the older ones with the game mechanics and the way that you're able to just the crazy tricks and stuff that you can pull off if you're really good, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. I played, I think the last one I played was either FIFA 15 or 14, and even back then, I mean, I used to play soccer as a kid, so I like playing soccer games quite a bit. I don't like watching soccer personally, and maybe that's because I played soccer, but to me, soccer is incredibly dull to watch just because there's a lot of back and forth with the ball, and so I've just never been a huge fan of it. But I personally, like I said, I was just really surprised to see it being such a big deal. And I know worldwide it is a much bigger sport, so obviously, in my own little bubble here, maybe I'm just a little bit sheltered, but I just thought that was really surprising. Number 2 on our list, and this should not come as a surprise to anybody, is Call of Duty World War II. And this is the PS4 version. Again, the PS4 being the dominant console, has sold to date over 5 million copies of this game, and with good reason. Call of Duty's been around for a really long time. And they're just it's a really solid franchise. In people that otherwise might not really play video games, this is a game that people will play, even if you're not really a gamer. So I expected that to be on this list.
Yeah, I love Call of Duty, and it's been so long since we've had another World War II game. I mean, the World at War came out in 2008, so it's been almost 9 years. I mean, this year will be 10 years, but thankfully it came out last year, so it's only been 9 years since we've gotten something like that. Hands down, greatest Call of Duty to date, I think. I mean, the game was well done. It just was well done start to finish, and the multiplayer is just a game that you can just keep replaying and replaying. The replay value is amazing on this game, so it's not a surprise to me that it sold as many as it did, for sure. So too, another thing that I wanted to point out that's so interesting, because you did talk about how long this franchise has been going, it's actually been going for 14 years. So the first Call of Duty game was 14 years ago, and so now we're in the 15th installment of the Call of Duty franchise. So that's like a really huge thing. I mean, for something to be around that long and still have the amount of steam that it does, like, it's an amazing game. They did a good job.
Yeah, they did do a really good job. And it's funny, the funny thing about Call of Duty, it seems like their mantra is kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, and where there are iterations that change a little bit. But it's funny because in the last few years, like the previous iterations of Call of Duty, like Infinite Warfare, or what was it, Advanced Warfare, they kind of started to stray from the formula, tried to do more things like you would see in like Titanfall, where they have like the jetpacks and you're jumping around like crazy. And those games weren't as high of a seller, and they weren't as highly rated because Call of Duty, I mean, like, they were, to give them credit, they were trying to innovate and change the mold a little bit, but it appears as though everybody knows what they want from a Call of Duty game. You know, they want that boots to the ground. And that was, I don't know if you guys have seen any of the Call of Duty videos over the last year, any of the press conferences. That was their tagline this year. Like, every single video you'll hear, boots to the ground, boots to the ground. But it is something that, you know, the people know what they want, and all they want is a good, you know, a good solid shooter and something with incredible replayability as far as the multiplayer and the zombies goes. And I think they really delivered this year. I really hope they come out with some more maps and a lot of variety and keep expanding it down the road, so we can continue to play it as the months go on. And on a different note, as far as Call of Duty is concerned, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this, but I felt the need to talk about this because this is very game related, and this happens all the time in the gaming community. There was a case of swatting, and for those of you who don't know, basically what swatting is that when, you know, two people, usually involves like an argument of some sort, somebody gets mad at the other guy and basically finds out this person's address, calls the police, basically says something to the effect of like, I have a bomb, or I killed my family, something terrible. And basically gets the SWAT team sent out to this person's house. And it's supposed to be like a prank type thing. And unfortunately, this was actually not too long ago, just as someone actually was killed from swatting. And just basically, I don't want to go too deep into the article or anything like that, or talk about it too much, but it is something that, you know, it's so unnecessary and so immature. And it was because of Call of Duty. It was over like a $2 bet. And the SWAT team even got sent to the wrong person's house. So a completely innocent person lost their life, you know, over, you know, sorry for the language, but complete bullshit. You know, and it's something like that. It's just something that where I feel like, you know, everybody just needs to grow up a little bit and not do this kind of thing. And I hope that this guy, whose name I won't say, but I hope he gets like nailed to the wall. Honestly, I don't know if you. I'm sure you feel the same way. But yeah, it's just really sad.
They need to make an example out of this guy. Like, this is not okay. I don't care if you're best friends or if this was a joke between friends or whatever it is. Like, whatever it is. Like, there should be no reason why you should ever call a SWAT team on anybody and make up some crazy false story. Just insane. It's just insane to me. I remember, for all of you, you know that we really like McJuggernuggets, and he was doing the Psycho series. Well, during that, for any of you who watched him, you know that he was swatted at least 12 to 13 times. And it just, I'm thankful that all of those times didn't end up exactly like this. You know, because it would be really sad, and we'd be having a completely different conversation, and all of you who know him, he wouldn't even be making the series that he is now with his creativeness. So it's just, people need to stop doing this. This is ridiculous. Like, it just needs to stop.
Yeah, it's something that just, I wish the gaming community, and that's the thing about the gaming community, they are a great community of people. There's a lot of great people out there, but for all those great people, you know, there's all these people who are just basement-dwelling trolls, and it's just really shitty, honestly. So I did want to mention that. It's a very sad thing. If you haven't seen the article, go ahead and look it up. It's pretty easy to find. But it is something that needs to be stopped somehow, because you know, the SWAT teams have to respond to these type of things as if they're real. They don't know otherwise. And so they go in there, you know, full force, and, you know, and in this case, somebody lost their life, and it's just, like I said, it's just really sad. So I just wanted to mention it, but Anyway, well, we'll go ahead and move on from that and go back to the gaming news, the sales numbers, and something a little more cheerful. Number 3 on our list, and this should also mean no surprise to anyone at all. Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild has sold over about 4.5 million copies to date. It's done incredibly well. I had the pleasure of owning a Switch when it came out. That was the reason I got a Switch, and I can tell you this is one of my favorite games of all time. Personally, it was so much fun. Just to run around Hyrule, climbing up mountains, just solving these puzzles of physics, solving them half the time like not the way they were intended to be solved, but just finding like some other weird way to solve them. It's just such a good game, and it's such an open, fun world that just invites you to explore. And if you don't have a Switch, if you like Zelda, this is honestly a reason to get the console. And unfortunately, I'll be getting another Switch eventually, but unfortunately after I beat Zelda and I was totally done playing it, I sold my Switch because I was like, there's nothing else, and now we have games like Super Mario Odyssey and stuff like that. I'm really bummed out I don't have a Switch again, and so I'm going to pick one back up if I can ever convince my wife that it was a mistake of what I did. So, but yeah, very good game. If you have any inkling to play a Zelda game, it's, I know you haven't played it, but it's so good. It's one of my favorite games, dude.
I mean, I haven't played it, you're correct, but it looks visually stunning. Like, just based off of the visuals alone, I love Zelda. I played every single Zelda game, obviously, except this one, because I actually have never tried a Nintendo Switch ever, but I played all of the ones on the Wii, the DS, the 3DS. Like, I played all the Majora's Mask and the Wind Waker and all that stuff. So if it's anything like those games, which usually Zelda games are pretty high up there for the bar and stuff, as far as like, well done overall, this game will definitely be amazing. And it's no surprise on where it's at on the list as being number 3.
Yeah, it's so good. And number 4, and I expect this list, in the coming months to probably change a little bit. I mean, this is basically last year's sales, so I mean, some of these games didn't have as much time as others to actually, generate sales. Like, say, like Super Mario Odyssey isn't in the top 5 of this list, but it should be, because it looks like a great game. I haven't played it, but anyway, number 4 on the list is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Sold nearly 4 million copies, 3.8 million copies, and this basically is a port over of Mario Kart 8 from the Wii U, but it also includes, I believe, like there's a couple new characters and a couple new tracks, so it includes all that with the copy. This is actually one of the games I had on the Switch before I got rid of the Switch. And what can I say about Mario Kart? Honestly, everybody loves Mario Kart. It's a lot of fun, and again, it's a solid game all the time. It's just like Call of Duty. When people want to play Mario Kart, they know what they're getting into and they know exactly what they want. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I love Mario Kart. I've loved Mario Kart ever since it first originally came back. I mean, you literally slap any of the Mario characters into a game like, Mario Kart or Mario Party or just any of the Mario games, and it's definitely going to sell. So I'm not surprised to see that this is number 4 on the list. Mario Kart is always a win. They could literally have Mario Kart 50, 50 years from now, and it'll still be somewhere on the top 10, I guarantee.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, what? So if you had to pick a Mario Kart game, which one's your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
I liked the Mario Kart from the GameCube.
Double Dash?
Double Dash.
That's so funny.
I liked Mario Kart Double Dash.
That actually is my favorite too, because it was so much fun back in the day. I remember when I had a GameCube, and I got Mario Kart Double Dash, and even if I wasn't racing, even if I was just on like the back half of the cart, like it was so much fun, throwing turtle shells at the other guys, trying to keep them away, and like you were actively working together with your the other player, with your partner, to try to win the race. And so that actually to this day, remains my favorite Mario Kart game, and it was so good. And the graphics were a huge leap up from like Mario Kart 64.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was just like this huge drastic jump, and so it was a lot of fun.
I love the levels too. Like that game was just so interactive and immersive, just with the levels, because it brought you back to the world of like Mario, like the original, the Mario Brothers, or Mario, like just it brought you back to those lands and those worlds, and it was like the nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's another reason why these games do such an amazing thing, is the nostalgia of Mario.
Oh yeah, you've got all these characters been around for, like, Mario's been around for what, like 20 something years. And it's got to be 20 years at least. And these are all like just characters people have grown up with and know. And like, so when you get a game where you get them all together, yeah, it's just super fun. Next on the list though is another game, and this is actually another game that I briefly had a PS4, and unfortunately I also sold that because one of my friends at work, his Xbox One, his disc drive broke. And so he didn't have any sort of gaming console, and he's like, I want to be able to watch like Blu-rays and still play some games and stuff. And I was just like, well, I just got a PS4. I'll sell it to you back for what I bought it for. And you know, if you want it, it's yours. And he was just like, cool. And so I sold to him. Now I regret it. But Horizon Zero Dawn was a fantastic game, and this is probably, I gotta say, like, I don't know where I would place it on my list of top games of all time, but it is such an immersive world, and just the theme and the setting, and just the game is gorgeous visually. It's fun to play. The enemies, like the robot dinosaurs and stuff like that, genuinely seem threatening. Like when you run into like a giant like T-Rex robot monster, you just kind of want to like take off and go. Which is exactly what I did the first time I ran into one. I literally like went and hid behind a building and like just like was firing at him for like a long time until he finally went down. But it's a very good game. It sold almost 4 million copies over the course of last year, 3.8 million. And if you haven't played this game, if you own a PS4, like, you need to play this game. It's so good.
Yeah, I will say one of the visually, like, as far as the game goes itself, it reminded me of how visually stunning Halo Reach was. If all of you remember when Halo Reach came out, it was just like it blew everybody away visually. This game definitely did that for me, as well as also too having that aspect feel of kind of like Final Fantasy 13 when you're in the plains. If all of you played that game, you know what I'm talking about. But it just had a really awesome feel between both those games that I would definitely highly recommend everybody pick this game up.
Yeah, the world map is so huge, and it's so immersive and so fun. Like I said, it's just one of my favorite games. I don't know where I would place it in my top game list of all time, but it would definitely, I think, be on there somewhere. And I do want to give a special shout out though. This game only had 3 weeks of sales to compete with the rest of these games, and some of these games have been on here for, like, Zelda's on here for 37 weeks. Mario Kart was 29 weeks. But Super Mario Odyssey sold over 3 million copies over the course of 2017. And again, this is not a game I played. I have watched people streaming it on Twitch, so I've pretty much seen most of the game, and it just looks so much fun. Like, I love the Super Mario games, like Odyssey and Galaxy and all the Super Mario games. You know, they're so fun to play. It generally just takes you to another world, and I just love them. So,
as far as as far as Super Mario Odyssey goes, like, it does look like a really fun game. I definitely wish that I had a Switch to be able to play it. Like I said, I've never touched a Nintendo Switch before, but it definitely looks like a really awesome game. It's kind of up there on par with, like, Paper Mario or Mario Galaxy.
Yeah, if I ever get when I get another Switch, that'll be one of the first games I pick up, and I will definitely stream that game for everybody to see. So definitely look forward to that sometime in the future. And there are some other games releasing. I wanted to talk about video game releases, but unfortunately, January notoriously is the slowest time of the year for video games, and it's because the holiday rush is over. Everyone's poor. Everyone spent their Christmas money, and really, like, no big games really come out in January. There are some games coming out later in January. We're going to cover those next week and talk a little bit about those, like what's coming up. So look forward to that. But that's really all I have for you today, guys. So thanks so much for watching. Real quickly, one last thing. I just wanted to let you guys know something I am very excited for, and Typefly is as well. MG Nights is we're also starting to do a podcast, and you can find us on the iTunes store or on, like, SoundCloud. Just search for MG Nights. And the podcast really right now isn't anything different than what we're doing. It's just our shows converted over into, like, an audio format. It's not going to be all of our episodes. Obviously, if it doesn't fit the context of, like, fitting into a podcast, I'm not not going to put my like Let's Play videos on there or anything like that. But something like this, you know, like this episode, I probably would put into a podcast format. So if you guys, you know, you see we have a new episode of something, you want to watch us, but like you're driving to work and obviously you can't watch us and you want to like just listen to us, you can search for our podcast. So we're just really excited to be able to have something else to add as far as a way to reach more viewers and reach out to you guys and talk to you guys. So if you guys do feel like it, go ahead and check out our podcast. There's not like a whole lot on there yet, but we're real excited. So
yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, definitely go check it out. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching. We really do appreciate your time.
And that's it for today, guys. See you around soon.
And always remember, stay awesome.
Why isn't it enough to be faithful and also be the hit of the party? Let's just break it down to you and me uptown, dancing all around till the disco ball pops. But I have to be